Hi, John Monroe here on a gray and rainy day in Lightwoods Park in the Bearwood neighborhood of Birmingham. And today I'm gonna ride my bike into town, into the city center, to the Five Ways roundabout. And there's only really one way to get there from here, and that's to take Hagley Road. So that's the way I'm gonna go. Not the nicest day today, that's for sure. This is a really nice cafe though. It's probably cozy in there right now, and they have tables out in the nice weather. Skateboard park in this park, and it's just a generally nice big park. My kids like to come out here, and we do occasionally, but not very often, unfortunately. And the reason why we don't come as often as we would is because of Hagley Road, the very route that I'm going to take. It's kind of the only way to get out to this area from where we live in Ladywood, and it's the only way to get from where I am right now to the city center. So Hagley Road is, as you can see, not very pleasant. To ride on. But I'm riding on it not just because it's the only way to get where I need to go, but also because I recently learned that Birmingham City Council has its eye on Hagley Road as a site. Very obvious, but they're coming to realize this as a site they need. There's a couple other riders. Good to see I'm not the only one out here on my bike. Birmingham City Council has recognized Hagley Road as a road that's in need of some upgrades in terms of opening it up to cyclists. So even on a day like this, not pleasant to ride in, but you got to get somewhere, it shows that there's a demand for it, and the conditions just immediately indicate just how badly it's needed. There's not very many people out here on their bikes today, and I didn't expect to see any. It was nice to see 2 so far. But of course the reason is because of the way that drivers are entirely prioritized and are given all of the space, leaving nothing for people to ride their bikes with a feeling of confidence and safety. But it's great that the council is recognizing this on this major thoroughfare. Drivers like that you have to share the space with. So it's also nice that the council is considering Hagley Road here, because it seems like it's a significant thoroughfare, but it's also a symbolically significant route because it's well used by drivers. And rather than some of the sort of tinkering around the edges projects we've seen, welcome though they are, like York Road in Kings Heath, a very small, good for that neighborhood, but small in the grand scheme of things, improvement. To improve Hagley Road would be a symbol to the whole city that says that the council believes that you shouldn't have to own a car to be able to move safely around our city. And in other cities that I know or have lived in, that's actually the key to the whole thing. A central, highly symbolic, undoubtedly controversial move to open the space to everyone shifts the tenor of the city as a whole, and then it makes all these smaller tinkering projects that much easier to pull off because you've got the central example of something big in the center. So in Vancouver, where I grew up in the late 90s, the Burrard Street Bridge would be the equivalent example. The mayor at the time decided to reallocate a lane of traffic on either side of this major bridge that leads right into the city center, to reallocate the space to cyclists away from cars. They just put a barrier and reallocated the lane. Drivers didn't like it. Surprise, surprise. The mayor held to it, and it transformed the whole city, because with that example in place, it meant that much more was possible, and it was harder to reverse the progress that had been made. So if Birmingham was to go ahead with Hagley Road, that might have a similar effect as well. And the simple reallocation of the lane, I think, is the way to do it. Again, I'm not a road engineer, but running a barrier down here and leaving a lane for the drivers on the right and a lane for everyone else here would really open up the space and enable people to get where they needed to go safely. So it would be nice to see, because Hagley Road is so unpleasant, but such a major corridor. And it's also very unpleasant for pedestrians to walk along and to cross. The timings for the lights are very much favor this idea of traffic flow, meaning people in cars over the flow of people trying to cross what essentially is a huge barrier between what's on one side of this road, all the communities on one side and neighborhoods, and all the communities and neighborhoods on the other. So if we were to run if Birmingham City Council was to run a barrier down this dotted line here, gotta switch lanes here, it's a little dicey, thank you. Speed up a bit. If they ran a barrier there, this very idea of traffic flow would undoubtedly come up. And I think there's a few ways to think about this. Where would the traffic go? How would the traffic flow in light of a constriction, which would certainly result from putting a barrier on this lane? Well, I think the first thing and most important thing is to think about traffic flow as actually a social construction and not some force of nature. The amount of cars that is in the road, I mean, the best evidence for this is the fact that the amount of cars keeps increasing. So it's not a set amount. So we can start dealing with the problem or continuing to make space for more and more cars. So to constrict the quote-unquote flow would open the flow for others, and drivers who are taking unnecessary journeys who just have to figure out some alternative, because it's not, the city shouldn't just be for them. So traffic flow in the first place is an idea that we can contest. Filter a bit here. I'm almost at my destination. This is the other thing, is it's not even far. It's just dangerous. And finally, to open the space along Hagley Road, which I hope the City Council is serious about considering, in a way that makes an opportunity to both limit the amount of space for cars and open the amount of space for everyone else, would also really democratize this space, this public space. You know, you can think about the democratization of public space as something that a simple majority wants a particular usage for. So if more than 50% of the users of this space want it to be only for cars, then that's one way of measuring a democratic sort of result. But that, of course, excludes everyone else. And if another sort of way of thinking about the democratization of public space is to open it up for everyone. So sometimes infrastructural kinds of enablings of access are not necessarily for the majority, but for a robust democracy, they're nonetheless necessary. So here I am, I'm at 5 Ways already. This is the end of the ride. So it's a short ride. It's a rainy day. But the idea is to encourage Birmingham City Council to really continue to think about this idea of democratizing Hagley Road. Let's hope they do it. And maybe, one last thing I'll say is, maybe there needs to be a little bit of public pressure to encourage them to think along these lines, and maybe organized rides along the road. I was just there myself, but maybe if there were a few of us riding together, not critical mass, but maybe a kind of idea of an organized ride of a few people together, then maybe that's another way that we could encourage the council to think about that space, because it's badly in need of some kind of improvement. All right, see you later.